I was born with spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy, which essentially means that my limbs and my body is tight. It also affects my speech. That's my primary diagnosis and why I'm in the wheelchair. I also have other invisible illnesses, mainly related to digestion.
So I can give you the full diagnosis because I'm very open about it. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2, borderline personality disorder, and PTSD, which all involve some very fun things like depression and anxiety and some issues with executive dysfunction, all things that make classwork very, very difficult and challenging, along with some difficulties with like social life and interacting with people. But mostly my main challenge in college has been dealing with stuff like the depression, anxiety, and executive dysfunction aspects.
During my senior year, that's when I reached out to the disability to see if I could get any testing accommodations. So I would be sitting in the classroom, and I would always usually be the last one done. Not that I didn't know the material, it was just I couldn't focus with everybody else around me. People moving around, noises on the outside. Sometimes I would find myself reading the same question over 5 times just to kind of understand what it was actually asking, because any other distractions would completely throw me for a loop. So that's why it would take me a lot longer.
I am diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and I am also an athlete. So in high school, I suffered a severe concussion and just needed some extra accommodations during that time. And then my sophomore year, actually at Scholastica, I suffered another severe concussion in the same exact spot. And so I had to have my accommodations reevaluated just so I could be the best student that I was able to be.
So in high school, I definitely did have some challenges. I did have an access assistant in high school, but there wasn't as much independence and freedom as I found in later years in college. I wasn't as free to be me and be able to do things by myself as the independence I found in later years. I don't think anyone's ever ready for college, regardless of ability. It was a change. It was that scary transition time between I'm in high school and oh my gosh, now I'm an adult. What do I do with my life? But the Center for Equal Access, my professors, everyone that surrounded me made that transition a lot easier. I did have to learn, though, to advocate for myself. You're right that when you're in high school and when you're younger, your parents are helping you with that. But just like anybody else, when you get to college, you're discovering who you are and who you want to be. And that's no different for somebody in my situation. There's things that I have difficulty with, like physically handwriting notes, for example. And I would have teachers who said things to me like, well, you're going to need to know how to do that in college. You're going to need to know how to do that in college. And that was my worry. Would I succeed in college? But it turns out that the Center for Equal Access was able to alleviate those fears through my accommodations, and I didn't actually need those skills for college.
I didn't get any accommodations or any help until I reached college. So one of like the main reasons I went to St. Scholastica is because of the fact that you have like a program here in counseling services and like free therapy sessions. That was a large part of the reason why I attended and chose this school, because of those resources. And so immediately, as soon as I started, I immediately hooked up with a therapist through the counseling service, and we started working on getting a preliminary diagnosis for me, getting me on medication, and she immediately set me up with the Center of Equal Access.
I feel like my professors were more involved here at Scholastica than in high school. I definitely feel like my high school my teachers cared, but I feel like the Scholastica professors and faculty are trying to put all of themselves into each student, and just to get the best possible outcome for that student. And I'm very grateful for the current professors and faculty that I have surrounding me, because they've been very accommodating and very understanding of my situations. And they don't pry, but when they do ask questions, I know it's coming from a place of concern, and it just makes me feel even more welcomed here.
I felt like the collaboration between myself and the Center for Equal Access, as well as the collaboration with my faculty, led to a very successful 4 years here, especially as an undergrad. There were some challenges at times, and whenever it felt like it was getting a little bit overwhelming, I just contacted the director of Center for Equal Access, and she helped me navigate the situation that we were in. But overall, the professors, for the most part, were incredibly helpful, accommodating, and very kind. I had several different accommodations throughout my time here at St. Scholastica, but primarily I used my accommodation for a note taker, which meant that I had an individual who would take notes for me in class. I have difficulty with focusing and taking notes at the same time. Additionally, I had extended time for assignments or exams for health-related reasons, if I needed to leave to go do something, or if I had appointments. Considerations for absences were also kept in mind. One of the most helpful accommodations was the use of digital textbooks. I'm not able to physically carry books that well, so the fact that I could pull out my phone in any class and just use the digital textbook on my phone was a game changer for me.
I've used them quite a bit, depending on what time period, really depended on what accommodations I was using. All throughout my 4 years, I definitely really appreciated the consideration for absences accommodation, the accommodation for extensions, for priority registration. Those all very much helped. And then when I started doing Zoom classes, because COVID times, the Sonnet note taker was amazing, because I just could not focus on that screen. And so if I missed something, I was able to go back and check it out. So with my depression, anxiety symptoms, I have a lot of trouble going to things and attending class and just basically getting up and being a human being and functioning. And having that ability to priority register meant that I never had to worry about getting to the classes I needed for graduation. But not only that, but I got to have kind of ability to pick what would work best for my schedule. For instance, morning classes are the bane of my existence. It's really hard. I feel like for a normal college student to get up for early classes, but with the depression and everything else and all my other symptoms, it was just a nightmare for early classes. And having that priority registration to be able to be these are the times of day where I'm the most productive, where I have the least amount of difficulties, and being able to pick and choose my classes according to that was amazing.
So a couple accommodations I have is an extended 3-day, a 3-day extension on papers or assignments. I growing up, I had an IEP, and so I wasn't the best reader, and I'm really not the best speller, and papers are not my best friend. So that has definitely been very helpful. Other people distract me when I'm testing, and so when other people start going up and handing in their exams, I'm like, oh no, I should be finishing sooner, and then I'll do worse. So it's really nice just to have a quiet little bubble to get your stuff done. I also have I'm allowed to have notes and stuff, not on tests, but just I don't use this one, but someone a note taker could give me notes if I needed it. That was mainly from when I had my concussion, because I did miss about a month of college. So that was pretty intense, and I did take them up on that during that time.
College is a difficult time for everyone, regardless of ability. Access doesn't mean success, like you said. Access just means that it isn't an automatic failure. Because of the Center for Equal Access, I was able to have that chance. And without my accommodations, that chance would have never been there. I would have been starting below zero. people won't know what you need unless you let them know what you need. And like, just as important as telling someone what you need to be able to listen. So being able to listen and talk about what you need, understanding yourself, is an incredibly valuable skill to have. I would just say to remember that although somebody might have different abilities than you, they're just like you. I'm not any different than any other 27-year-old. And I wasn't any different in college, and I wasn't any different in high school. I am just like my peers. I can do what anyone else can do, just in a different way. Talk early and talk often. It's not scary. Well, it might be scary, but it shouldn't be scary. And remember, we're all on the same team. And that's what matters at the end of the day. As long as you can get to that stage on graduation day, that's all that matters.
Number one, do not wait for your senior year. The moment you get in, I know like freshman year's like complicated and challenging, and it's just, you know, your boat is so rocked that it's hard to like have time to do stuff like reach out to counseling, reach out to the Center for Equal Access. It's important though, like take advantage of your resources. And I feel like a lot of times you're kind of made to feel guilty about it, like the handout things, like, oh, you want handouts, you're just lazy, you just want all these advantages. It's not the case. Like there are resources there that are like legally mandated, like there's a reason they're there, and it's not just you being lazy or you being like unnecessarily asking for things that you shouldn't need. It's there for a reason. Other people have these same needs. Other people need this just as you do. And the earlier you get into the earlier you use those resources, the earlier it can help you. And the more you get used to using those resources also helps you out a lot.
Discussing my accommodations with my professors, I know quite a few people who definitely should have used accommodations. They definitely qualified for accommodations, but they never reached out for it because they didn't want to be a nuisance. They didn't want to be a disturbance, and they didn't want to be the odd duck out. And I don't believe that should be the case. If you need something to help you, so you are at the same starting line as everybody else, you have every right to get that sort of treatment and help. It's as easy as sending an email. You can just send an email to the Center of Equal Access to get your name out there. You could, if you have a if you're a freshman, so your Dignitas teacher is normally your academic advisor, you can, if you feel comfortable with them, reach out to them and they will go with you, they will assist you, they will get you any help you need. If you feel comfortable with other faculty on campus, like I'm really close with MPS, if I asked her, she would move the sun and the stars for me. They want you to be happy and succeed. And if you feel like you don't have any connections to faculty or staff on campus, grab a friend. A friend will always be there and support you if they're a good friend.
I felt like the collaboration between myself and the Center for Equal Access, as well as the collaboration with my faculty, led to a very successful 4 years here, especially as an undergrad. There were some challenges at times, and whenever it felt like it was getting a little bit overwhelming, I just contacted the director of Center for Equal Access, and she helped me navigate the situation that we were in. But overall, the professors, for the most part, were incredibly helpful, accommodating, and very kind. I would say without my accommodations, I would not have graduated college. I came to Scholastica because of the Center for Equal Access, and I left Scholastica because of the Center for Equal Access.
I just think that the Center for Equal Access is very useful for students on campus, and it doesn't get the recognition that it deserves.